Hello, good evening. You're watching RTD's News, the top stories tonight. The head of state has received a Chinese businessman. Two Paris Air France flights from US diverted due to a bomb threat.
Those were the top stories. Welcome to RTD's newsroom. The President of the Republic, His Excellency Mr. Ismail Mergele, has received this morning at the Presidential Palace the Chairman of China Merchant Holding Group Corporation. The Chinese delegation has been introduced to the head of state by the President of the Port Authorities and Free Zone, Mr. Abubakar Mohammed Hadi. The China Merchants Holding Corporation Group is a strategic partner to the Port of Authorities and Free Zone. They own 23.5% of Djibouti's port. In addition, they are our partners in the ongoing multi-purpose port construction in Dorale, also in the Demerjoug livestock port under the construction of the new free zone of Djibouti free zone, and finally in the reconversion of the site of the old port of Djibouti in a business district.
Pour nous, China Merchant Group, nous sommes très contents d'investir à Djibouti pour le port et les autres domaines d'activité. Maintenant, nous sommes en train de travailler ensemble.
Under the chairmanship of His Excellency Mohammed Ali Hamad, the Conference of Presidents of the National Assembly was held today. The government was represented by the Minister of Justice, Mr. Ali Farah Hassoui, the Minister for the Investments of Women and Family Planning, Mrs. Hasna Barqadaoud. Also took part in this meeting the second Vice President of the National Representation, the Presidents of the Parliamentary Groups and those of the Permanent Commissions, as well as the General Representative of the Committee on Finance. The agenda of the Conference of Presidents was to fix the date and the agenda of the next plenary session, as well as for submitting the bills pending in the various permanent committees. In the first place, it was decided during these meetings that the first public meeting will be held on Wednesday, November 25 at 9 a.m. in order to examine the legal standards such as Bill number 105/15 on the ratification of the agreement for funding the electrical production to Japan, Bill number 106/15 on the ratification of the Convention of a Loan for the participation in the financing of construction of the Port of Tujora project.
Also, Bill number 109/2015, amending Act of 24/2014, the establishment of a system of universal health insurance. Bill number 108/2015, repealing the solidarity tax of 10% levied the retirement pension. As for the Bill number 110/2015, removing the solidarity tax on the base of pensions and deductions refund in favor of a former national pension fund. Finance Bill number 112/2015, lying amending budget for the state for the year of 2015. And finally, Finance Bill number 113/2015, relating definitive regulation of the state budget for the year 2014. In addition, the Conference of the President has been summoned to the Committee on Finance, the General Economic and the Plan of Draft Law, following in view their study. It is in this case the Bill number 115/2015 in the adoptions of the financial account of EDD for the financial year 2011.
As part of the improvement of road traffic, urban transport, as well as the quality of waste and garbage delivery from urban areas, a new road of 15 kilometers is under construction. in the municipality of Belbela under the leadership of the Ministry of Equipment and Transport. The works of this new road access are implemented and funded by the Chinese company for construction CCECC. These works comes within the framework of renovating the activities of paved road infrastructure. In a first phase of 15 km, they were started in Belbela and will continue up to the Bulaus municipality. Note that the estimated cost of the construction amounts to $15 million or around 2,660 million of Djibouti francs.
A delegation of military attached of various foreign embassies based in Addis Ababa made a visit of 3 days in Djibouti. This delegation was composed of 15 military officials from 14 countries, including French, the United States, Italy, the Nordic countries, Japan, and South Korea. That day, the delegation had been received at the headquarters of the Djiboutian National Navy by Brigadier Osman Nour Subagle, Chief of the Defense Staff, and his Deputy General Tahir Ali Mohammed, in the presence of the Commander of the National Navy, Colonel Abdurrahman Aden, as well as the Djiboutian military attached to Addis Ababa, Colonel Omar Saeed Khaire, and other officials of Djibouti Army. In his welcoming speech, General Subagle has delivered to these officials a message from General of Division Zakaria Sheikh Ibrahim, the Army Forces of General Staff, who has greatly appreciated the initiative taken by these officials and their choice of visit to Djibouti as a group. He would like to see that this kind of experience and exchange with the Djibouti Army occur in the future.
The visit began with the presentation of the geopolitical situation in the region and of the taxes entrusted to the Djiboutian Army. The delegation then went to the Operations Center of the Djiboutian Navy, one of the most successful in maritime surveillance in the region. In his presentation, the Colonel Abdurrahman Aden Chair has stressed the crisis of Yemen, has shown the strategic stakes of maritime zones, the most frequented in the world, and the importance of this operation center in monitoring the coasts as well as the maritime traffic. For its part, the Colonel Garnier, defense attaché of France in Addis Ababa and leader of the delegation, welcomed the impressive development of Djibouti. Just in a few years, he insisted on the fact that this visit shows an open image for more confident, more cooperative of the armed forces Djibouti, which makes this visit very rich in this continent and promotes trade between our countries, he said. Finally, these military diplomats have done a tour at the infrastructure facilities of the capital aboard a Navy patrol.
A ceremony of cleaning materials donation has taken place in the Belbela municipality. It has brought together the president of Belbela Coming, Mr. Yusuf Nuhu, the vice president of the Coming, the chairperson of the neighborhood council, Ms. Zahra Isa, and the president of the Action Against Hunger to Djibouti, Mr. Frederic Bardou. The cleaning materials were composed of wheelbarrows, shovel, brooms, and cleaning gloves, among others. This donation of materials is offered by the Actions Against Hunger Association and comes in the framework of a multi-sectoral project to mitigate the consequences of malnutrition in the Republic of Djibouti.
In Tajora now, the teams of UNFD and UNICEF, who lead an awareness response to totally abandon any form of extinctions, have held an important meeting at the Regional Council of the White City. On site, they have been hosted by the Vice President of the Regional Council, the Deputy Governor of Tijara, and heads of customary traditional chiefs and imams of mosques. The main goal of this awareness is to sensitize these people on the danger and harm of female genital mutilation, where recommendations in the religious consensus are not yet obtained until these days. These sessions have been produced by the Management Committee in partnership with UNICEF and UNFD.
Still national news, the elections of the MTS Secretary General Staff was held on Thursday, November 5 in the Register Office of the General Union of Djibouti Workers in the presence of a representative of Labor Elections Inspection Management and several members. The vote was marked by a massive participation of employees who have been loyal to those three candidates, such as Mr. Abdurrashid Umar Dubed, Ali Ahmed, and Mr. Farhan Obsiye. After the counting, Mr. Abdurrashid Umar Dubed obtained 163 votes against his two opponents, who have got respectively 12 for Ali Ahmed and 20 for Farhan Obsiye. Such a score reflected the confidence of continued support that the employees of MTS expressed for Mr. Abdurrashid Umar Dubed, who was elected for a 2-year term. The election, which took place in calm and serenity and which created a strong grace, ended with race between the different candidates who stood to congratulate the Abdurrashid Umar while promising to support him in the fulfillment of its position.
And now we have learned with sadness the death of Abdullahi Jama' Barre. The deceased was born in Djibouti in 1952 and left behind him a widow, 4 boys and 3 grandchildren. The late Abdullahi Jama' Barre was the uncle of our colleague Muhammad Ahmed Barre. The General Director and the entire staff of RTD sent to the deceased family their sincere condolences. May God receive him in his eternal paradise. Inna lillahi wa inna ilayhi raji'un.
And now let's move on to the continental level. In Nigeria, more than 30 people have been killed in a suicide attack at a market in the northern Nigeria city of Yola, officials said. Let's listen to this comment.
A blast struck a market in northeastern Nigeria city of Yola on Tuesday evening, killing 32 people and wounding 80 others. Both the Red Cross and National Emergency Management Agency said the explosion occurred at a fruit and vegetable market beside a main road in the Jimeta area of Adamawa state capital around 8 p.m. There was no immediate claim of responsibility, but the blast bore the hallmarks of militant Islamist group Boko Haram, which has killed thousands over the last 6 years, and its bid to create a state adhering to strict Sharia law in the northeast. 32 people were killed and 80 have been injured, said the Red Cross official, who asked not to be named. Nima regional spokesman Al-Haji Saad Bello later gave the same casualty figures.
On the international scene, following Paris attack, 2 Air France flights en route to Paris from the United States were diverted on Tuesday. Following anonymous bomb threats, and hundreds of passengers and crew were safely removed, the airline and the Federal Aviation Administration said. Let's take a look.
2 Air France planes flying to Paris from Washington and Los Angeles were forced to divert to Halifax and Salt Lake City due to bomb threats. The airline has confirmed all passengers have been evacuated. Air France confirmed in a statement that both flights, the 055 and the 065, were diverted because they were subject of anonymous threats received after their respective takeoff. As a precautionary measures and to conduct all necessary security checks, Air France, applying the safety regulation in force, decided to request the landing of both aircraft. The statement added, local authorities are carrying out complete inspection of the aircraft, the passengers and their luggage. An investigation will be led by the authorities to identify the source of the telephone call. Air France flight, the AF-55, heading to Paris from Washington, D.C. was diverted to Halifax. The plane had 262 passengers and crew on board. Nova Scotia, all the passengers were successfully evacuated and officers were going through the plane with police dogs trained to detect explosive.
Still on the international scene, in London, United Kingdom now, British government policy are fueling a worsening environment of hate in which abuse, discrimination and even the threat of violence assault have become the normal experience and expectation for Muslims living in UK, according to the conclusion of a new report. Let's listen to this comment.
The study into the day-to-day experience of British Muslims carried out by the Islamic Human Rights Commission found a sharp rise in the number of people reporting verbal abuse and an increase in the number of physical attacks since the survey was last undertaken in 2010. Two-thirds of the 1,800 people polled said they have been subjected to verbal abuse, up from 40% in 2010, while 82% said they had witnessed Islamophobia being directed at someone else, from 50%. Reported case of physical assault rose from 40% in 2010 to nearly 80%. Muslim in the UK feels targeted by media and political institutions, which in their undertaking contribute heavily toward a deteriorating climate of fear, a rise of far-right groups, and a rise of anti-Muslim racism. Most Muslims now feel they are hate, the reports say, and cite examples of individual cases of discrimination, such as a Kuwaiti tourist who was detained and questioned under terrorism legislation for taking a selfie of himself outside a shopping center, and a woman working with children with autism who was told she could not wear a hijab because her parents would not feel safe leaving their children with her. A police state in all but names, but the report also highlight widespread opposition to government's policies such as the controversial Prevent Counter-Extremism strategy and the new Counter-Terrorism and Security Act, which the author said have created a police state in all but names, as well as growing sensitivity to anti-Muslim rhetoric used by politicians in the media.
This is the end of the edition. Thank you for staying with us and have a great evening.